Indeed. Now I want to take you back to the county of Makueni for the 7th annual devolution conference that is currently underway, and hand you over to my colleague Akisa Wandera, who is on standby for us. Akisa, good morning. Several delegates, of course, have showed up with the theme of this year's conference, touching on matters climate change, climate action. What more can you tell us? Over to you.
Good morning, George. Yes, we're coming to you live from county number 17, that is Makueni County, that is playing host to the 7th Devolution Conference that has attracted thousands of delegates here to deliberate on issues to do with climate change. The theme being multi-governmental approach on climate change. So a number of issues will be deliberated on. But just quickly to take you through what we expect to see in the next 3 days. Of course, there were some precursor events yesterday, including tournaments, football tournaments for the Secretariat. But today we expect the official opening of this particular conference. There will be the last one before they retrieve back, or they get back to the biannual conference that will be once in every 2 years. And Makueni playing host of this particular conference. We expect that this particular conference will be opened officially at about 12 p.m., 12:30 to 1 p.m. from what the program says. Currently, it is just various keynote addresses that are being made with local leaders. We've seen Margaret Kamar, who is the Senator Uasin Gishu County and the Deputy Speaker of the Senate, make the keynote address here. A number of leaders are expected to be present. Currently, governors are at a parallel function, planting trees, just to be in line with the theme this year that is on climate change. And of course, a number of issues are expected to be deliberated on, among them financing climate change by the counties. How do you involve these counties in adaptation on a number of resolutions that have been made on issues to do with climate change? And of course, the first gesture from the governors there who are planting trees here in Makueni, just for them, that's what a chairperson of the Council of Governors, Martin Ombora, said. It's just one of the gestures by the governors to show their seriousness and commitment to this particular topic. And Kenya has not been a stranger to some of the effects of global warming. So before it gets too late, the conversations are around how do you involve the counties, how do you involve the citizens, how do you make sure that then this process does not just end with planting trees, but ensure that you grow trees. What are some of the agricultural practices that we need to adopt as a country to ensure that we secure human security and the challenges therein? So, of course, we have been able to speak to a number of leaders. They will not just be talking about climate change, a lot of issues. We're talking about the devolution scorecard, the revenue question in the counties. And at this point, I want to speak to John Mwaneke, who is the Deputy Governor of Laikipia County. Thank you, sir, for joining us here on KTN News Center. Climate change, a very critical issue and theme in this particular conference today. As a Deputy Governor, looking at what is happening in the counties, why do you think that, what do counties are they set to benefit from this theme and the conversations herein?
Thank you very much. I think we must also, first of all, appreciate that the organizers of this conference found it fit for us to have this conversation, because where we have reached now as a country, as a nation, as a world, the issue of climate change is a reality. And a lot of what you're witnessing with the conflict among, communities is as a result of the dwindling, access to resources. I think the main issue here is for us to be purposed in a policy direction that counties now must mainstream the issues of, climate action. And there has to be, those mainstreaming must be witnessed in the budgeting cycle, so that every time the counties are now going to budget cycles, there is a deliberate investment towards, tree planting, towards recharging the ground on water, stormwater harvesting, and also ensuring that the communities are sensitized, that they must then be constant, that every day, every action we undertake, taking of the environment, it is intended to ensure that we minimize the effect of climate action. The other thing that is, of course, of concern is that we have witnessed that over the years, there has been more deliberate effort in terms of going for, investments that are infrastructure in nature, yes, which is a very good thing. But then you must also remember that even as we do so, we must take care of the environment. We need to ensure that we increase the forest cover to 10 million trees annually, so that our cover can move from what is currently below 10% to even more than 10%. We just came from a meeting in Laikipia where over 20 counties had met, and they were discussing about pastoralism and how the effect of climate change is affecting the lifestyles of pastoralists. And we have over 10 million people whose livelihood is on livestock production. And then adopting new technologies in terms of how these livelihoods will be done with. Because originally, or in the old days, you could walk your cattle from one place to another. With the population explosion, it is no longer possible. So we must then now start adopting things like feedlot, because then we have to go with the trends. I think the other issue is about financing climate action. And furthermore, it's a bit unfortunate that the IBEC meeting resolved to adopt the CRA proposal to retain the 370 billion to the counties in second year. We had hoped that that would move to about 450 billion. But nevertheless, then we have to adopt new financing strategies. And you have seen in Laikipia, we have been able to proceed with issuing a bond, which is 1.1 billion. And this is an infrastructure bond purposely to ensure that we improve on the urban areas, so that we also create employment by making sure that those urban centers are upgraded to smart towns, which therefore then creates impetus for young people to go into business, to go into production. I think another issue also we have also asked ourselves is, how do we mainstream climate action to our young people? Right from baby class all the way to our tertiary institutions, that it must be part of the curriculum, so that our kids can grow knowing that it is very important to take care of the environment. And I'm very impressed with what I've seen the CBC curriculum, especially on the environment. It has really put a push on it, that the young ones now will tell you, you should not litter, you should dispose, these are recyclable items, so that then in that perspective, as the young people grow up, they embrace the aspect of making sure that they protect our environment.
The issue of financing, I'll just take you back a little, because the big headache here is how will counties budget for climate change? Do you expect this to be a hard nut to crack? How best should counties going forward ensure that they budget to protect the environment, and the issues around climate change that will be deliberated upon in this conference?
As you know, with human beings, one of the issues that we have to do is motivation. So how do we motivate the counties to actually mainstream climate action or climate change? Financing. One way is to ensure that there is a reward system, that the county that embraces stronger and more investments towards climate change, there is a reward in it in terms of either a conditional grant can be put in place, like the KDSP one, where is the match you do is a result-based sort of financing, so that if you are heavy on investing on climate action, then you access a pool of funds that are there meant for that. And I think since we have seen the devolution KDSP program work in that manner, then I think we should also go for a climate action program that works in a similar manner.
What are your expectations in this particular conference?
Well, just like I've said, I do expect that there will be a very clear policy direction on financing, very clear policy direction on how we mainstream even at our education system, very clear direction on policy direction on how, going forward, everyone in the country, particularly the devolution fraternity, then it is a must, right from public participation, right from budgeting processes, right from departments mainstreaming, so that then, and even the laws at the county assembly, that the county assembly must also come forward strongly and ensure that they legislate on these laws that protect and ring-fence funds for climate action.
Thank you very much for speaking to us. John Moneke there is the Deputy Conference. It should be noted that Laikipia County has become the first county to get a go-ahead from the government to borrow. So, of course, a lot of issues on, like what he says, a lot of concern on whether there will be a clear direction on how to finance climate action in this particular conference. I should mention some of the dignitaries that are expected in this particular conference include ODM leader Raila Odinga, Interior Cabinet Secretary Dr. Fred Matiang'i is also expected to make his way in this particular conference, even as governors, senators, members of the county assemblies. Various crucial stakeholders converge here for conversations on climate change and what Kenya can do to to ensure human security challenges are dealt with as we move forward. I should also mention that among the critical launches that will be
Indeed, my colleague Akisa Wandera joining us live from Makueni County, and we shall be keeping tabs with the latest happening on the devolution conference. My name is George Maringa. Thank you so much for keeping me company for the last 2